This is Smiles TV. Welcome to Smiles Television Talk Show. I'm your host, Stephanie Anthony Miles, and we have the best show of all time today. And you know why? Because we have the world's greatest female athlete, Jackie Joyner Center, and then we also have a great boxer who won a gold in the Goodwill Games, Mr. Arthur Flash Johnson, right here from East St. Louis, Illinois. And you remember that Jesus Christ was born of a virgin. He was crucified and buried, and he rose on the third day. Confess with your mouth that he is Lord. Believe in your heart that God has raised him from the dead, and thou shalt be saved. Stay tuned for more Smiles. Welcome back to Smiles. I'm sitting here with Jackie Joyner Center, the world's greatest female athlete of all time. Here's just a little history about Jackie. In 1984, Jackie Joyner Center won the Olympic silver medal in the 7-event heptathlon. In 1986, she was the first American woman to set a world record in a multi-event competition. She was voted by the Associated Press as Athlete of the Year. In 1988, she won 2 Olympic gold medals. And in 1992, she won an Olympic gold and bronze medal. She officially retired from track and field at the age of 38. Welcome, Jackie Joyner Center. Jackie, thank you. Come to Smiles.
Yes.
I love you so much, and it's so good to see you again.
Always great seeing you.
You know what, Jackie? We're sitting here in this great facility. You came back home. You've made an impact. You're still making an impact. And we're going to talk about your center. I want people to know some of the great things that are going on. But if you will, Jackie, let's go back, because I know that you're featured in a magazine that's coming up, and it's called the I Am East St. Louis magazine, and it's published by Charmaine Savage. But you're featured in there along with other sports greats. Tell us about your childhood growing up in East St. Louis.
You know, we're growing up in East St. Louis, in the south end of town. My parents, or our parents, didn't have a whole lot, but we had a whole lot of love in our household, and my parents instilled in us a conviction to working hard, and we were raised, Christians, and and really just to focus on the things that we had and not put a lot of thought into the things we did not have. But it was always about setting goals and, trying to, make ends meet from the standpoint of living in the house of my great-great-grandmother. But my parents, was very loving and caring, and always set the rules.
I can remember, Jackie, and of course I have to tell this story, and then you can tell the truth when I finish. But I remember growing up, we all ran summer track.
Yes.
And, I thought you were great then. But then I had a chance to beat you. But you all don't know why. I beat Jackie Joyner Center, but let me tell you why. She's a little bit younger than I am. So if you're 10 and she's 3, of course I would win, right?
No.
It's not that great of an age difference. But Jackie, when you first started running, what were your thoughts? Were you just out there for fun, or you went out saying, I'm going to be an Olympic champion? What were your thoughts initially?
My thoughts initially was that I loved what I was doing. I really didn't understand what the Olympics were about. I came through the Mayor Brown Center, and the Mayor Brown Center had, different sports activities they were offer all of us, and all of us being my sisters, my next door neighbors, and we at one time made up the cheering squad. We would cheer for the football team, and then they had sign up for track and field. And Percy Harris at the time was one of the directors, along with Tyrone Cavett and so many others. So I would go, and I signed up, and Percy was like our coach, but then it was maybe 10 of us. Then the next day it was only one.
No, wow.
And I was the only one left. And Percy introduced me to George Ward, who was over at Franklin School, because they had a track team already. They were running, and I was running with Gwen Brown, and
Right.
yeah, you know, so. And it wasn't until later on that, later on, maybe when I'm saying later on, it might have been a month later, that met Coach Fenoy, who was also the physical education teacher at Lily Freeman. And so they had combined the track club, and we were running George Ward and them, as well as Mr. Brooks and Mr. Fenoy and them, and Coach Hampton, all, you know, got this track team. But then for whatever reason, George and them just wanted to focus on the boys. And
Fenoy ended up taking the girls, right?
Yes. And if Coach Fenoy hadn't really gave girls a place to be to come and go, I don't know what my career would have been with track.
You know, you told a story, and I'm not going to tell all of the story that's in the article, but you told a story of how you would see people standing on the stage and they were getting medal, and you were on the grass. How did that affect you, and what did that mean?
You know, when I first started running, I finished last in my first competition, and I said to myself that if I could improve a tenth of a second if I was running, or a half of an inch if I was jumping, that meant the work that I was doing for as practicing was paying off. And so, and it was okay. I saw myself improving. I saw my places improving. But then I recognized how I think 4th through 8th was on the grass, and 1 through 3rd was on the podium. So then I started setting my sights on, I want to get on the podium.
Right.
I want to get some hardware. You know, we got ribbons. I had all kind of different color ribbons. You know, nothing against them ribbons, but
You wanted some hardware.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know that you played basketball and volleyball.
Yes.
And maybe some do, because the basketball career really took off at UCLA. So tell us about basketball at Lincoln High School, and then from there, how you played against some of the great people.
Oh, wow.
Other greats.
You know, we were very fortunate. I started playing basketball through the Mary Brown Center. Really didn't know what was AAU. Punch O Hamilton at the time was really, you know, getting girls both from that time from East Side and Lincoln, and we made up the team. But then my senior year, you know, we went undefeated. You know, and at the time you didn't realize what an accomplishment that was until now. Now you can look back, because to go undefeated in anything, it says a lot about your perseverance, working together, and it's a team, and it's a team sport. And we were able to gel at the right time to be state champions in Illinois, and really that was something I cherish more now than I did then, and then going on to UCLA on the basketball scholarship. And you know, I wasn't quite sure if I was going to play basketball, because I really wanted to, you know, make the Olympic team in track and field.
Wow.
You know, and when, you know, but I played all 4 years, and it was great, you know, playing against some of the greats, you know, Cheryl Miller at the time, who was one of the best women basketball player at the time, who really helped push, you know, at what I would call during that era, push women forward, because Lynette Wooder or Nancy Lieberman and Myers and all of them came before us. But when people really start having appreciation for women's sports, with Cheryl Miller, the McGee twins, and then at sea having a team, Cheryl Miller, the McGee twins, Cynthia Cooper.
Okay.
I mean, it was like, wow, and we're in our conference in UCLA.
And you were, at the time, how tall are you?
I was, 5'10".
You're 5'10", and these girls were
6'3", 6'4",
And you were
and I had to
checking them.
check them. Yes,
Wow. But
so I
some
was
of-
like a little fly.
But some of your some of your records are still there
Yes.
today in basketball,
Yes,
and that's
yes.
awesome.
Yes.
So okay, so you decided, okay, I'm basketball, I'm great at that too, but you went on the track for sure as a career. How did you make that transition? What made you say, I'm gonna do track?
You know what? It wasn't so much that I wanted to make track a career. The transition was that the opportunity of trying to make an Olympic team. So that opportunity became a challenge to see if I could meet that challenge. I went to the Olympic trials as a senior in high school, and I finished 8th in the trials. And even though in '80 We didn't send a team because of the boycott, and I wouldn't have made the team, no way.
Okay.
But then you're waiting for another 4 years if it's going to come about or is it going to happen. And in 1984, my opportunity to try to make my first Olympic team presented itself, and so I wanted to see if I could make that team, and I was fortunate enough to make the team. And I realized, though, I was in a great situation to win a gold medal in the multi-events, but never been injured before and dealing with an injury, that it played on me psychologically.
Okay.
And all my family and friends and everyone was there, but I was just in another world. I was so nervous and so afraid, and I let the heavy bandaged leg get the best of me mentally. I didn't focus on what I needed to do to win the gold medal. I was so focused on my leg being heavily bandaged that it really caused me to doubt myself. And
I have to ask this question because you mentioned Nino Fornori just a little bit earlier, and for those of you who don't know, Nino Fornori is still coaching track and field today and has produced other great athletes.
yes.
Did you ever, while running and after running professionally, I guess, did you use what you learned from home? And if so, how did Nino and that coaching staff impact you in the long run?
Right. You know, Coach Fornori was and still is very instrumental in my life. You know, from a father figure as well as a mentor, and someone who always taught all of us to give back, and giving back, giving of our time, come back and teach what we've learned. And I feel the great, I guess the great gift that Coach Fornori gave to me, his words of wisdom, was that he has taught me all he can teach me. Now it's time for you to go and learn from someone else.
Okay.
And that was profound in a way, because as young people, sometimes you get attached, and when you're leaving high school and trying to go to that next level, it's hard to leave the people behind. But when people understand you're not leaving them behind, you're allowing me to grow and grow, and allow me to be open to learn from someone else. And that's a valuable lesson that sometimes holds a lot of our young people back, because other people won't let them go and fly on their own.
Those are great words of wisdom.
Yes.
Those were very...
So Coach Fornori was very instrumental in that. Even when I would call and like, oh, the coaches, no, you're like, no, you went there for education. I don't want to hear that.
And so today, now you're married. You're
Yes.
married, and you your brother. We haven't talked about Al a little bit, because she has a brother also who's an Olympian, Al Joyner.
Yes.
So now you're married, and you had some things to go on in between, and we don't have to stay on this long at all. But Al, who ended up marrying Florence Griffith Joyner,
Yes.
Flojo ended up passing, and during that time, how did that impact you?
You know what? Even before the passing of Flojo, you're talking about my husband, Bob Kersee, not only coached me, Coach Florence, Coach Al, Gail Divas, Valerie Briscoe Hooks, Jeanette. I mean, we have a Rolodex of Olympic champions that he's worked with. But Florence and I, we competed together at UCLA, and my brother, who I convinced prior to the '84 games to move to Los Angeles and come train, under Bobby. And he worked with Bobby, and my brother did win the gold medal in the triple jump, which was, great. And then I never thought him and Florence would, connect.
But that East St. Louis Mac.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Sweetwater, what they call him. He had the magic in the water, I guess.
Right.
But anyway, him and Florence married and had a daughter. Well, have a daughter, and it was just unfortunate because, after Florence gave birth to Mary, and then she was having problems with seizures, and we weren't sure where they were coming from, and then come to find out she had a lesion on her brain, and so after, having a seizure in her sleep and suffocating, that we lost her. But it was tough, and because as a family, you're trying to corral and be supportive, and I don't I know what it's like and the feeling I felt when we lost my mom when I was a freshman. But then for my brother to lose his significant other and have a young daughter at the time was it's really tough, but we dealt through it.
Let's take a little break, and we're going to come back. And when we come back, we're going to talk about the Jackie Joyner Center that is run by her foundation right here in East St. Louis, Illinois. Stay tuned for more Smiles. Talking with Jackie Joyner Kerse, the world's greatest female athlete, and we are at the Jackie Joyner Center at Jackie Joyner Kerse Circle Drive in East St. Louis, Illinois. Jackie, beautiful center. People from all over the world, I'm sure, have come in here. What do you want people to get when they come into your center?
Well, first of all, it started with a labor of love with other people helping to bring my dream to reality and to build a center, to have it here in East St. Louis, where we house as well as Head Start, and we do after-school programming. We use sports as a hook, to get the young people in the door. We also do work with our seniors, our healthy steppers. We have someone come in, they do exercise and dance. And so hopefully, when people are driving on 64, and instead of passing the sign, they would just drop by, come in and see, not only a great facility, but outstanding staff people, people really working to try to, continue to uplift and keep the dream alive.
You also have a STEM program
Yes.
within the center. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, we're very fortunate. Have gotten several different contributions where we can introduce them to our young people. And you're talking about science, technology, and math, but engineering is just for letters to our kids. We want to make sure that each and every one of our kids can read at grade level. We have a reading specialist. We also have tutorial help, along with we have our computer lab. We're very fortunate that Comcast Charter, Charter Spectrum is in this area, help make a great contribution, as well as Wells Fargo help with our computer lab. So, but also getting our kids in the space of science and technology, and but then we have such a large grounds that I'm also working in the agriculture space. That's a part of STEM as well.
Right. You told me that's really dear to your heart, and give the vision behind that.
Yeah, the vision behind it was that me and my team, we started just really planting corn and soybeans in North St. Louis, trying to see what would grow in an environment in the inner city and dealing with the different climates. We did soil testing to make sure if there was any contaminants. So, but then what most people were seeing, you're seeing stalks of corn, but you might see corn. I'm looking at it, I see opportunity. There's jobs in these spaces, and how can we be in the space of plant sciences, just being in that space, but then also the opportunities where you can encourage someone to be an entrepreneur. So if you learn how to grow your food, then you can always eat. And so it's just a lot. And then being able to bring just a little bit over here to the JJK Center, with real big plans of doing some great things in that space.
Another thing I realized also, you are responsible, your center helps go pick children up to bring them to the center, and you also take them home?
Yes. We are very limited in our staff, but we do have an efficient staff that we do pick up. Transportation is a big issue, not only here, but across the country. If you go to any community center, you'll find the biggest problem is transportation. And then some people have a problem with, gangs, or they can't cross a certain line. But we're very fortunate that they do pick up, and they also drop them off. And we have a Metrolink stop, but still, like some people just want to stay in their own area. But our goal is to bring them all to the JJK Center. But as well as that's a goal, it can also be an hindrance. But I'm always looking to what's the solution to the hindrance? The hindrance is that we can serve many, but our staff, we have to continue to raise funds in order to bring the staff in so we can have that ratio, adult to child ratio that we are having impact. Our goal is to not only bring the kids through the door, but making sure that we're seeing improvement in their grades and their behavior. They're going through I don't have my book here, Kind of Grace.
Kind of Grace.
That we developed a curriculum around that called Winning in Life. And there are 14, we call them 14 guiding principles. And for me, they're like 14 intuitions, that we try to instill in the young people. But the great thing about it is that you have the character development, the leadership development, but we also have the physical activity component that's added to it.
If you had to guess, about how many people do you think actually come in and out of your doors?
Oh my gosh, it could be thousands, but our ADA on average is roughly around, 120 or 95 on a regular basis. Our goal is to hit 120, but we hit right at 150. But then it goes back to we don't have the staff. So one of our goals is to try to find us a good volunteer coordinator, because one of the things I do know, living in I just want to say living in our community, but just in general, as a person, you don't want someone to come in and out of your life. You want somebody that's going to be constant.
Right.
And if that person is constant, that person can help you develop and grow, because I always know I can depend on you because you're going to be there. And that's what I want to see when we get volunteers. I appreciate the ones that do come, but they need to be constant in our young people, because they see you, they want to see you more than once or twice.
So if people are interested in even partnering with you, other companies and corporations, or if individuals are interested in volunteering, how can they make contact?
They can make contact. They could, call the Joyner-Kerse Center. It's 618-274.
For kids.
Yes,
right.
You're right. Spell it out, And also they could go on our website, jjkfoundation.org, and you could also reach us here or ask for our program director and facility director, Mike Greenfield.
Okay, Jackie, we could talk for days and days because we go so far back,
yes.
And I just love talking with you. You are a gracious individual, and thank you for spending time with Smiles. And just like I asked all of my guests, while we have you on camera, will you come back to Smiles TV Talk Show?
I definitely would come back. We have more to talk about.
That's right. Thank you, Jackie. Give me a hug. God bless you. You look better when you smile. Keep smiling.